There are memories that we hold inside our minds, places in time that touched us enough for our subconscious to take note. We hold on to these memories, and over time we can learn to open the doorway that lead from the emotion tied to them within our own hearts. When we merge the two, we create our stories. Your stories are the emotions tied to the memories that created you. Whether they are good or bad, easy or difficult, our past creates who we are through our experiences and what it stirred inside of us. I had the opportunity recently to go home. I was forced to confront my past in a very literal way. I had to go through our entire house and purge all unnecessary things that, if needed, I would travel across the country with. Then I had to tackle our storage unit and empty it out alone. I kept only what I was tied to, which ended up being much less than I thought. Going through our storage unit, I found my past. I found all the pictures, poetry, and journals that had moved from home to home with me, and now I had to really sit down and decide what was worth keeping in my life and coming back to Wyoming. These memories were why I canceled our flights back and decided to rent a car and drive. I realized that I'd stumbled across the perfect opportunity to revisit my entire past that was worth remembering. I started sifting through the pictures and folders of things I had written in the worst and most amazingly heartbreaking times of my life. I spent days reading it, truly feeling it all again, processing it all, maybe for the first time, from the other side of most of my really hard things in life. After a few days, blurry-eyed due to reading everything I had ever written, Hunter and I arrived late to a small family birthday party. I was exhausted and so drained mentally, physically, and emotionally, but it was nice to be with family. After lasagna and cake, we all sat around and asked each other conversation starter questions that had been sitting out on the coffee table. We all swapped stories about our scariest moments and what our biggest regrets were, and where we would go live for the rest of our lives if we could. When we left there, I felt whole again after hearing so many stories from our past. We had been at my brother's home that was right off park and neighborhood that had sprouted up around our backwoods Kentucky home while we were growing up. I took the opportunity to drive through. First, the new part of Briar Hill, called the Estates, and then down my old street in that scary Monster Hill. It was hard to see my house again. I almost couldn't look. It belongs to someone else now, and they had painted the wood blue instead of red like we had it. It doesn't look the same anymore. The trees are much taller and the bushes are somehow smaller. My heart ached as I drove by, memories flooding my mind and heart. So many thoughts and memories echoed their way back into my soul all at once. It was overwhelming. Then we drove past the church and the temple where Brandon and I got married, and that little chapel where every Sunday we went with our two crazy kids till we moved a few years later across town. took a sharp right at the last minute and knew the route like the back of my hand. I knew I needed to do one more thing. First, the elementary school where I ended up knowing the principal's dungeon well and for several years. Next, cross the railroad tracks, then to the right to go straight past the middle school and into the high school parking lot. There it was. Every memory and feeling I had locked away for so many years. High school had been utter torture, and at a time that no one could have possibly understood, because I didn't even understand it all myself until right then. I had been so terrified to look back and see what it was that had really happened to me all those years. So much went on throughout that time and beyond that had shaped who I am today. I don't think I had ever been strong enough until right now to confront what deeply changed me time and time again. These memories had held a chain in my life. The memories lived in the back corners of my mind. They had tied me to a past I hated and that I had lived through once already and did not want to live through it again. I knew then I needed to tell my stories. I need to rewrite them in a way that I wanted them to end, that I needed them to end. I need to get my stories out of my head and my heart and finally be able to close the cover and move on, only to open them again simply as a visitor and to no longer be affected by them. Sickness and disease and ongoing constant nagging monkey on my back that was always whispering, "What will I attack next? You'll never expect what's coming." But for the first time in my life, I picked up the first page to my past and said out loud, "Bring it on," knowing I was ready to rewrite my endings.